In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the federal coronavirus relief law, or the so-called stimulus check. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome to The Long Run with Joel and Christy. I'm Joel.
And I'm Christy.
And today we're going to be talking about the federal coronavirus relief law, or the CARES Act, or what you may think is your stimulus check. So we're going to give you some ideas today about things you can do with your check. But first off, let's set some ground rules.
Okay.
All right. Number one, it's not a stimulus check. Okay. Some people are saying it's not being called a stimulus check. Some people say, well, this check is meant to stimulate the economy. Not necessarily. That's not what it's being called. It's being called a recovery rebate. The law is actually called the Coronavirus Aid Relief Economic Security, or the CARES Act. And so you get a recovery rebate that you can use however you want to. And today we're going to talk about some ways that you can use it or not use it according to your pleasure. Okay, it's all about you. We're not going to tell you how to do it.
That's right.
We're just going to tell you how you can. Maybe some ways you haven't even thought of. Right?
That's right. And you know, we believe that there are 3 different scenarios to consider when thinking about what to do with your
recovery rebate.
Recovery rebate.
She wants to call it the stimulus check, but I've warned her not to do that because that's what everybody's calling it. And stimulus check gives a different connotation than a recovery rebate.
It doesn't fit with some of the scenarios.
Correct.
That's right. So let's go ahead and talk about our first scenario. Our first scenario is that you've lost your job. The last thing that you're concerned about when you've lost your job is stimulating the economy. You're worried about other things like taking care of your 4 walls. And if you're not familiar with that terminology, it basically means paying for those things that are fixed expenses. They're absolutely necessary. Your mortgage, your electricity, your rent, mortgage or rent, whatever the case may be, those things that you have to pay for. It doesn't count things like going out to eat or Netflix. Sorry, Netflix doesn't count you. That's what your 4 walls is. And so when it comes to this recovery
rebate,
when it comes to the recovery rebate, one of the things that you may need that rebate for is to help take care of your 4 walls.
That's correct. And you're going to find that some of your creditors, or people you owe money to, or people that you pay on a regular basis, like your light bill, your rent, things of that sort, your mortgage, things of that sort, are going to contact you and say, hey, we're going to give you a little relief this month, and you don't have to pay your bill. So if your electric company calls you and says, if you're lucky enough, maybe not lucky enough, but your electric company calls you and says, hey, we know it's a tough time, and you don't have to pay your bill this month. And you're like, yay, I can use that money for something else. Don't do that, because they're still going to want their money somewhere down the road, probably next month. So think about that before you say, okay, I'm going to skip my electric payment this month because the electric company said I could. Beware of that. Pay what you can when you can, even if it's not the full amount, and let them know. Say, hey, I can't pay the full amount this month, because what will happen is if you don't pay it this month, and they say you don't have to pay it this month, next month they're probably going to charge you double. They're probably going to charge you both. Yeah. Same way with your rent. If you rent, I know a few years ago when we owned our house at Christmas, during December, our mortgage company would contact us and say, hey, you don't have to pay your mortgage this month. We're going to give you a break during Christmas. But what they would do is, it was sneaky, they would tack it on to the end of the term of the loan, so you got an extra month and extra interest. Yes, so right. Be wary of that, of tacking something on to the end of your loan, because you're going to have to pay extra interest on that, and that's just a stupid tax. So
anytime there's a month that's for free, that interest is probably not free.
Trust us,
it's still building the interest while you're not paid.
Yeah, nothing is free.
That's right.
Okay, people, they're going to get their money. That was an old joke we had we used to work at a cell phone company in customer service, and that was our joke, is we're going to get your money. And they are. At some point, they're going to get it. And so don't think you're getting free electricity, because you're not. So take care of your 4 walls. All right, so number 2 is you want to relieve pressure on lost wages. Now, maybe you don't need it this month. If you're like us and you use YNAB, you need a budget, then you know that you're living on next month's money, on last month's money, forgive me, last month's money. So the money that we're spending this month, we made in March. The money that we're going to spend in May is going to be the money that I'm making in April. And so if you don't need it for this month, then you may need it for next month for lost wages. So make sure when you get your money, make sure you put it somewhere that you don't touch it. Put it in, you know, if you budget every month, which you should be, make sure you put it in a line item that you don't look at. Okay, even though you can see it in your bank account, it's not a part of your regular budgeted items, and so you're not touching it. That's what we do with our sinking funds. We have one checking account, and we have our budget set up with all our budget line items, and then underneath that we have our sinking funds where everything else is. And so if we're not looking at, we look at a certain amount in our checking account, but we know that some of that's in sinking funds, and so we only spend money from our budget unless we're spending from a sinking fund. So if you put it in your sinking funds, then you're less likely to touch it, or you can just put it in a different account if you have multiple accounts. So if you've lost your job, you want to take care of your four walls, and you also want to try to relieve pressure from lost wages. Okay?
All right, so our second scenario is supplementing your income from lost pay, and it's not the same thing as what we were just saying.
Correct.
This is not that you've lost your job completely, it's that you've had a pay cut.
Right, and I'm kind of in both camps, because our mall did have to shut down, and so our restaurant is in the mall, and we were doing Uber Eats and mobile pickups and DoorDash and all of those things. But when the mall shut down, they locked the doors, they locked all the parking garages, and so there's no way for people to get in or out.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't set it up like that. Some malls did set it up like that, but we weren't able to. So we just had to totally shut down operations. The reason I haven't lost all of my pay is that I was able to get on with another Chick-fil-A, a freestanding restaurant about 10 miles from here that took me on. And so not the same pay rate and not the same amount of hours. So we did lose some of our income, but not all of our income.
So because of that, what we're going to do and what we're going to tell you to do is, if you need the money to pay your bills, do that. Now, like,
pay your bills, man.
Yeah.
Pay them.
And like we mentioned with YNAB, we are already ahead of, we've already paid all of April's bills anyway, and we're currently funding May's budget.
That's correct.
So we haven't touched any savings, emergency funds, or anything like that. So, but if you are not in that situation and you need it just to pay some of those bills, then use your refund rebate.
Correct. Woohoo! She got it right.
To actually...
it's actually a recovery rebate.
Use your recovery rebate to pay your bills if needed, and if not, then what you want to do is hold on to it.
That's right.
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're going to hold on to ours for a little while.
As long as possible.
Yeah, as long as possible. We still have some money in savings that we can apply to June if we need to. We're hoping we're back to work by then anyway. So, but anyway, so we're going to hold on to it for as long as we can.
And so that's a good idea. Yeah. If you need it to pay your bills, pay your bills. If not, hold on to it as long as possible for other things.
So, and
just in case, because you don't know how long it's going to last.
And what I'm hearing is that, what I'm reading is that it's not an advanced tax credit on your next year's taxes. What it is a rebate, a new tax rebate that you're going to see on your 2020 taxes. So there's a chance that none of us are going to have to pay it back, but we're going to hold to it. We're going to hold on to it anyway.
If we had it still in our bank account when tax time rolled around, that would be great, because we
normally have to pay taxes anyway. So
we can just give them back that money instead.
Yeah. So
instead of having to come up with new money.
That's right.
So, but that's all. Like, that's our plan, is just hold on to it as long as possible.
Yeah. So if you don't have to use it, hold on to it. You never know what you might want to use it for. Which brings us to number 3.
That's right. The third scenario is you didn't lose any income, which is so great.
Yep. Maybe you're an essential business, you're an essential worker, or your company allows you to telecommute. You can work from home. Yep. And so a lot of people who do work from home haven't lost income because they're still technically working, but they're working from home. And so I'm hoping that this is going to spur our country to do more telecommuting with people that can do that. And so I think that'll help out a lot, especially here in Houston, where everybody likes to drive their car.
I dreamed of having a telecommuting job back years and years ago when my kids were smaller. I mean, so if they have that capability, why not?
A lot of companies are having to think outside the box as far as that goes. And if this pushes us to do that as a country, then I'm all for it. And it's there's some good things that are coming out of this, as well as the bad things. But the good things are going to spur us to be better in the long run. So if you haven't lost any income, good for you. That's great. But here are some things that you can do with your recovery rebate.
Recovery rebate. All right. First of all, like we said, it is not a stimulus check. However, you can use this as an opportunity to stimulate the economy.
That's right.
And what that may detail is maybe buying something you needed to buy, or maybe it's to help go out to restaurants. And as you know, he is a restaurant employee, so we appreciate the people who want to help stimulate the economy by still going to restaurants.
And I know people are saying, why are restaurants open, and stuff like that, but the majority of people that come through our drive-through are first responders, or police, or nurses. They're and I see them every day, and when I'm out directing traffic.
They have to eat too.
They have to eat too, and so.
And you think about it, a police officer's probably not going to go back to a police station every day for a break room. They're going to be out driving around. They need to be able to get to a restaurant probably.
So anyway, use your money to stimulate the economy. Buy something if you want to.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just restaurants. It can be retailing. Maybe you need to buy some new clothes anyway. Yeah.
Maybe you need to buy from a local business that's about to shut down. One of the small stores that's about to shut down. You want to buy something from them to help them along, to help them through this terrible time, and help them stay in business. Yep. So
that's an excellent choice to decide to stimulate the economy with this money. All right, second, pay off debt, and also a third one that I'm just going to piggyback right off of paying off debt. Put it into an emergency fund or a savings account for your future. Now, I'm going to say, the people that we've heard say this is a stimulus check and it's supposed to stimulate the economy, we've also heard them say that the money isn't meant to be used on debt or emergency funds and stuff. It's meant to stimulate the economy. Now, as we've already talked about, it's a recovery rebate. It's a recovery rebate. But anyway, personally, in our opinion, if you choose to use it to pay off debt or to put in an emergency fund, that is making you more financially independent and will make it so that you're able to spend more money in the future that will help to boost the economy. So either way, we believe you are helping the economy. That's whether correct. You choose to pay off debt or you choose to
The more debt you pay off, the more money you have to spend anyway to stimulate the economy. So pay off your debt.
That's right. All right, and then so we also have a fourth option for you. Bet you didn't think we could come up with another one, but we have.
Yeah, we did.
Is donate. There's a lot of people hurting right now. The food banks are struggling to provide food to people who can't get food right now because of this situation. And there's tons of other nonprofit organizations that need help right now. And what we have found in our past, I used to work for a nonprofit, anytime the country is hurting financially, they're the first ones to get the cut. I mean, because you have to pay your mortgage, but you don't have to give. So they'll cut giving first. So by all means, if you don't need this recovery rebate, consider donating to people who are hurting right now.
Okay. Yep. And
got one more.
We got one more. We have thought of 5 things that you can do if you haven't lost any income. And that is do a percentage of all of those 4. Right. So maybe you don't want to use it all to stimulate the economy. Maybe you don't want to use it all to pay off debt. Maybe you don't want to use it all to put into an emergency fund or a savings account. And maybe you don't want to use it all to donate. Well, you can percentage that money out. Maybe you say, I'm going to do 10% to stimulate the economy. I'm going to go out and buy something, or I'm going to go out and buy dinner at a local takeout place, or I'm going to use 20% of it to pay off debt, or I'm going to put 10% of it into an emergency fund, and then I'm going to use 20% to donate to a local charity or something like that. You can percentage out that money as well. Mm-hmm. And there are some other things you can do as well. So put down in the comments some of the things that you're going to do with your recovery rebate. When you get it, they're saying they're going to start rolling those out next week, this week. So
yeah, this video goes live on Thursday, and you may be showing a pending check in your bank account by the time you see this video.
There you go.
So
let us know in the comments what you're going to do with it, or what you may do with it once you get it. So
that's right. Yeah. And if you don't see it pending yet in your bank account, this is something I think we meant to say at the beginning of the video, but don't spend it until you have it.
That's right. Do not spend it until you have it. Until you know it's in your account and it's not pending in your account anymore, do not spend it. Okay?
That's right. And the thing is, we wanted to do this video because, like we said, we saw some people telling, this is what you should do and this is what you should do. And our opinion is that personal finance is personal. And because there are so many scenarios here, some people lost jobs, some people didn't.
You should be adamant about this is how you should use your recovery rebate.
Yeah.
And say this is how you should use it, and that's the only way you should use it. Do you. Whatever you want. Use one of those things, or think of something that we haven't thought of, and let us know that in the comments.
That's right. That's right. It's all personalized to you. So do what you need to do.
So whatever you decide to do, do it. And then, own it.
That's right. And that's it. And don't feel bad if you see someone else telling you this is what you should do, and you're like, but that doesn't work for me. That's okay. It doesn't have to work for you.
Yep. Do what works for you. That's right. And in the long run, we're going to get through all of this together. So
that's right.
Today is the 12th of April.
Yeah.
Today, the video, we're recording this on Sunday, the 12th of April,
yes.
But by the time you get this, it's probably going to be the 16th, by the time you see it. So, 6 months down the road, we're going to be looking back on this, hopefully, and saying, you know what, that was a bad time, but you know what, we made it through it.
That's right.
And just remember that we're going to make it through it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all for the Long Run with Joel and Christy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more content from us. And catch out one of those videos that's flying around somewhere. Look at some of the other stuff we've done. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Joel.
And I'm Christy.
For the Long Run with Joel and Christy, we'll see you next time.